What's up, you guys? We are here for our midweek alchemy message. Hope you're doing well. I am pretty well, but I am itchy. I have narrowed down what I thought was poison ivy. I'm pretty sure it is ant bites or chigger bites. You can see they really tore me up, and my arm is so itchy. So my hypochondria has already gone through all the fatal possibilities. I've looked up every deadly possibility, so I've narrowed it down. I think it's either chiggers or ant bites, and maybe a little bit of poison ivy, and it would all add up with what I was doing in my garden the other day. So itchy. So yeah, today's message, we are here for our midweek alchemy message where we look at the work that we are doing for the week and we kind of unpack it. And this is like our approach to it's like our approach to the work, as if we are alchemists in the spiritual lab. So from the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, we have the Contra Naturam, against nature. This imagery reminds me of a barf. There's another card that looks like a barf too. You see like a pile of barf. That's what it reminds me of. It's a barf. Okay, so we've got against nature, followed by summer, followed by Soror Mystica, or mystical sister. Underneath against nature, we have Knight of Swords. Underneath summer, we have strength. And underneath Sister Mystica, we have death. Oh, my mom's. No, I'm kidding. So, let us begin. So we have sort of like a paradox in our message. In a way, we need to stop resisting what is. And on the other flip side of the coin, we can't stop resisting what is. So I'll unpack what I mean by that. So here's this card, against nature. And the theme of this card, according to the author, is talking about accepting the present circumstances that we find ourselves in instead of fighting them. Not accepting them like, oh, okay, I approve of this, or I accept that this will happen and I'm just going to go with it now. Like, not that kind of acceptance. The kind of acceptance where you're like, okay, so this would be the opposite of that acceptance. I can't believe this is happening. I can't accept that this is happening. It's like people who are in even more pain because they don't want the situation to be true. And you can't control that at all. The situation is what it is. Now, this will have like twofold interpretation for us. On the one hand, there's something in our personal lives that is paralleling the collective, what we're experiencing. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to talk about this in terms of our collective experience as far as the world stage and world events right now. And then we will sort of compare that or think about in the back of our mind something that might be going on in our life that is similar to this lesson and this message. Okay, so the war in Palestine, just one of the wars in the world right now, but I think that's the most gruesome thing that we're watching play out right now. We've got the immigration situation happening, and the situation with ICE in the United States right now that's playing out. We have the government trying to lower the legal age of consent to 14, which people are just jumping to call that 9th grade, but you're actually in 8th grade when you turn 14. This is junior high, kids. So we have that situation going on. We have, watching people starve in a genocide, right? There's so many things that are playing out right now in the world that we don't want to be happening. And taking it all in, I mean, just for me personally, it has left me feeling in a level of sorrow and grief this year that has been hard to find my footing through. Like it's actually impacted, I think, for, several months and weeks of the year, maybe my ability to be truly productive or creative or tap into that joy and enthusiasm. But it's coming back. That fire's coming back in me. That grief, I have been trying to process this grief, but it would be a lot more difficult, and I don't think I would be making progress with this grief if I was focused completely on the thought, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I can't accept that this is happening. If I was in that same stage of the grief cycle at this point in the game of the year, I think I would be falling into a deep depression because the fact that I wasn't embodying my real self anymore would just be compounding onto the global events as well. So there's a part of us that is resistant to what is, right? And we're like, I don't want this to be the reality. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to be broken up with, right? All of these things. I don't want to get this diagnosis or that. And we all go through these moments in life where obviously we don't want to accept the reality that life is dealing us at the moment. And this is where Eckhart Tolle talks about the difference between pain and suffering, and how we can't avoid pain in our life, but we can certainly choose suffering if we can't let go of the things that are causing us even more pain. Like the ability to let go, accept the current reality. Like this is the scene we find ourselves in right now. This is the movie we're in, and we can't do anything about it until we find acceptance that this is the reality that we are dealing with. I hope you guys are on the same page with me. What we resist persists. So we can't be truly effective in changing the reality or in being the change we wish to see if our whole vibration and energy and emotions and everything is just, in our soul is just like locked up, right? So we can't fight life right now, right? And this is not like these events happening. This is not nature, right? This is not nature running its course, but using this as a loose symbol, we can't push against what the reality is bringing us at the moment. On the other side, we have to profoundly push against the reality that's being presented to us. So we have to accept that, okay, this is what we're dealing with. This is the truth of the situation. And now we have to fight it. Now we have to try to correct it. Now we have to try to heal the situation and bring light into the situation and mend the situation. So we have to accept what we're seeing as what's happening before we can bring the remedy. So now we've accepted that we're in a nightmare. And how do we navigate this movie, this drama that we're finding ourselves in now? The secret is that we have to overcome our own nature. So when we do our tikkun correction, our tikkun healing, we all have like a path that we go through with different challenges and gauntlets, and it all looks unique to each person. What is difficult and challenging for me, it may come naturally to someone else. So say you have the kind of personality where you are very confrontational and very pushy and very, I want you to see my side, and I want to be respected, and I want you to accept my truth and all this stuff. If you're that kind of person, then when you're in that challenging kind of situation, the ask of you for you to grow is to pause and hold your words until you can shift your mindset and your perspective and your consciousness, because your ego is in control. Your ego wants to confront, and it's not going to be productive and not going to be helpful while your ego's in control. And what you want to address might be absolutely valid, but it's the level of which consciousness is in the driver's seat when you are having the conversation, right? If you're a person who is timid and you don't want to rock the boat, and confrontation is scary for you and terrifying, then you are probably being challenged to speak up and to defend yourself and to speak up and advocate for yourself. Or to speak up for a cause. I'm not suggesting we become defensive of ourselves. I'm just saying you might be called to speak up and tell the truth, or speak your truth in a situation where you might be shrinking and you don't want to. So with the Knight of Swords here, this Knight of Swords is out proclaiming the gospel of equal rights and justice and equity and harmony. And she's very compelled by her message. And she's having to boldly and courageously go and proclaim, to the audience, right? And she has to be compelling. Well, when we are desperate and in a state of trying to push or force something, we are only repelling that which we want to draw in. And so, in the case of world events right now, there's such a divide amongst people that are oftentimes like in the same friend group, or people that you are, that you work with, or people in your family. They might have different beliefs. And so there are very serious issues coming up right now. And, I think in years before, we might have had the attitude or the mindset of, well, to each his own, I guess, live and let live. Like, I believe in this and I let that person believe in that. But now we've seen that there's a maliceness and a danger and a hatred and a violence growing that we can't tolerate. And so it's coming out now. It's being exposed. And so we have to learn how to advocate for our cause in a way that doesn't repel our opponents, because we don't want to turn them away and push them away. We want to rehabilitate them and awaken them and help them see through what they bought into. And for some, they might be hell-bent and unchanging. But if we are aggressive, if we are offensive, if we are smug and smarmy, and we're out there wanting to confront, then it's gonna push people away, and they might even double down harder. Whereas, and I'm going to skip forward a little bit to the Mystical Sister. This is a card that it talks about having, being an open listener, being that person that people go to confide in. The archetype of the Soror Mystica, or the Mystical Sister, this energy, is that, imagine that, your big sis or best friend's big sis, right? The cool, loving, nurturing, older sister type that you look up to, but who's close to you, right? They're not like parents. They're they're your peer, right? They're side by side with you, but they have a little bit more experience, or a more of a vantage point, right? And so they help lend you their perspective, and they help lend you their experience so that they can help you navigate through situations. They mentor you, they comfort you. You know, when you've had bullies or people be mean to you, like, they know how to make you feel better and shake off what the mean people said, you know? They know how to help you get through school and wear, you know, cool things, and, you know, they try to introduce you into neat interests and whatnot, right? So the thing, though, that makes this Soror Mystica sister even more profoundly influential is her ability to be accepting and understanding, and be an open listener, be a compassionate listener, and be patient. And this is not always my strong suit, to be a compassionate listener when I perceive someone as being absolutely wrong. So it's a challenge, though, because people, like in, you know, our community, in this channel, we care about things, and we strive to bring goodness into the world, and we want to be there for other people. We want to be a light guiding other people, right? And so when we get impassioned, though, if we're too pushy or we're clinging too tight, it can push people away. So we have to find some way to find patience, and to be a soft, open heart for people, so they trust you. And this is not, I don't want to sound like I'm like setting you up to like manipulate and groom someone into re-brainwashing them into what you think. But like, no one is going to be brought back into harmony if they feel that they're being judged, or they're looked down upon, or they're hated or despised, right? So maybe you can't extend the same spiritual generosity to a person that you kind of know, to a random stranger, but we do it where we can, right? We make a difference in our circle of influence. And so you never know who you have in your life that you have more of an impact on than you think. And so your being there for them is helping them in their transformation. I have an example of this. My dad, you know, I've told you guys, is into Donald Trump. He's into MAGA. He's not super obnoxious like some people are. He's not wearing the hat, but I mean, he's, you know, still stands by his vote, you know. And I just am so profoundly bewildered by this. Like, who is this man who raised me? And I think many people, especially evangelical kids who grew up in these households, they're like, how can you be so obsessed with this end times, you know, theology, and obsessing over the prophecies and predictions of the Antichrist, and then like get caught up in all of this? It's just like, are you like, really, after all that? So, and it's not just that, it's all the violence and the hatred that they are endorsing, and you're just like, how have you become this blind and this person? And so he comes up to me at my sister's birthday party, and he's just like, always so alpha and authoritative, and like in his approach to everything. And so he like confronts me in the middle of just like all of us getting food, you know, whatever, settling in, and he wants me, the next Jewish holiday that comes up, we want you to come over our house. You can stay in the basement, and I want you to do the whole thing. And I'm like, he has zero self-awareness. And so there are so many layers of that that is irritating. For one thing, I am not a Polynesian demonstration of a fire show at a Hawaiian resort. Okay? I mean, even then, I'm not like trying to like say anything about that. But this is not like a performance that you go and you see at like a resort. You know what I'm talking about? And they just came from Hawaii. That's why the example was on my mind. This isn't a performance. This is like a sacred ritual that's focused. That is not, it's not like, I don't know, at least with the Kabbalah Center, this is not like one of those like Thanksgiving holidays where you all get together and eat food and chat and stuff. It's like focused, and it's like 12 hours long. So I was like, well, I just like maybe Hanukkah is like more casual, that's shorter, you know. But I was like, I don't know. Well, I'll think about it. And there's not one particle in me that is like, yeah, I want to go over to their house and do this song and dance and whatever, so they can feel like they can go brag about it later, like they did this thing. But they don't really, it's not real for them. They're not sincere about it. It's performative, or it feels that way. They don't know enough about it for it to be that meaningful. They just want to be a part of the novelty. And yet, there's this story they tell at the Kabbalah Center about the kid who was in college who was hosting Shabbat dinners. And the white supremacist was in his like dorm or whatever, and people were like, you better be careful, you know, so he doesn't find out about you and all this stuff, and because of violence and hatred and all that and hate crimes. Well, the kid was like, well, I'm obliged to invite him. And so he kept inviting this guy to his thing until the dude completely denounced. He came to the Shabbat dinner a couple of times finally, they grew a friendship, and the guy ended up like denouncing white supremacy, and he came from like one of the leader families, right? So if we want to make the world a better place, if we want to change the world, we have to be the change we wish to see. And I am trying really hard to find a way to find a place in my heart to be enthusiastic about this and excited and just embrace it. And that way my consciousness is in a place of love and acceptance and receptivity and sharing. I've got to change my attitude about it before then. Because I will be honest, I'm sour grapes in this moment. I don't love the idea, but I know that's the right thing to do, because that's what could make a significant impact, right? So being sincere, finding patience for people who are, something's not clicking, something is missing, right? A missing ingredient that they're not understanding what there is to be so upset about, you know? So we have got to be those people. We are the people. Now, in the center here of the reading, we have the summer card and strength. Summer, we're in summer, so it could literally be hinting at this summer we're in right now. Things can be kind of culminating. So the summertime is the fruition of the growing season. Whatever seeds you planted, they've grown, they've come to their fruition. This is what you're going to get this time around until we have another planting season, right? So the harvest is what you get out of what you put into that season, combined with the weather, right, of the time. But the point is that it's something coming into the fullness of its expression. And I think that the darkness in the world right now is coming to its fullest expression. It's like we talked about the abscess. It's this festering infection, and it's been this hatred, this nationalist, white supremacist agenda has been boiling and festering under the surface with this hate and this prejudice but it's been doing it in the shadows. It's been doing it in secrecy. And that's how they've been growing in power. That's how they've been amassing influence and power, because they've been out of the spotlight and no one has really been sure about their real agenda and their real motives. And many of us have been very suspicious, but they weren't kind of coming right out with it. They were still hiding behind piety and we want everything to be righteous. Well, now we're seeing that they're not about piety or righteousness at all. These people, these Christian nationalists, aren't Christ-like, not one bit. And they are using that facade to prop up their campaigns and to lure other people in through false advertising and through hiding behind, in their mind, they think, oh, I'm going to heaven. I'm in God's kingdom. I'm going to be ruling and reigning in God's kingdom. And they're self-righteous and on a high horse about it. And they think they're better, and they think nothing's going to affect them, so they can just litter and do hate crimes and run all over people and walk all over people and do whatever they want. And that's just fine. Literally, the what was it called, the Bump Act or something like this, by some lunatic lawmaker, and I think Florida maybe passed a bill. Like, the amount of news is so overwhelming that I could barely remember the details. I've been just keeping a clippings folder of the history of this year. But it was like an act or a bill that was passed in a state that made it okay to run over someone in your car if they were blocking the road. And it was basically so that people could just be emboldened to go drive into crowds and run over protesters. So this whole movement is coming to its fruition. Their ass is out in the open now, and people are turned off, and they're losing people and not gaining people. So they can't gain any more power or steam than they already have, and people are starting to become less and less afraid of them. At the beginning, we were like, speaking of go against your nature, it's like you may have been feeling scared to be your true self, right? There were parts of me earlier in the year where I was like, am I going to be a target for being like a single woman who's unmarried, childless, and a mystic? Like, they're going to come get me. Like, you know what I mean? So it was like, every time I spoke out about any of this, and even now to this day, I think a lot of people still feel this way, and I do too sometimes. I'm like, is it safe to say this? Like, right? But I'm like, it doesn't matter, because I'm not going, like, this moment that we're in human history, we are making human history right now. This is going to be the end of an age and the beginning of a new age. So what happens now matters. And so if we're going to fight and we're going to put our necks on the line for anything, we've got to go against the nature to want to self-preserve and hide away. And we've got to speak out for what is right and fight for others who are less fortunate or less resourced. We've got to speak out. Look at all the children that are being starved overseas, and the children that are at risk of being imprisoned or married off to some old man and exploited in every way possible. So we've got to fight for the children. We've got to speak up for the children. We've got to speak up for the sick and the differently abled people who are also coming under fire and threat. There's almost no one that is not under some sort of unfair attack right now. And so we have to all come together and speak out against this. Look at the amazing things happening with people gathering from all over the world, marching to the borders of Gaza. They're gathering vessels, ships that are all meeting up in these two locations, and they're all going to join together and try to, as a huge flotilla of dozens and dozens of ships, they're trying to break the illegal siege to get aid into Palestine. And that's towards the end of August is when the initial first stage of the meetup is happening, and then they sail down further and gather the second grouping of people before they move on into the Mediterranean. And it's so exciting and so compelling and so history making. This is something that no one has ever seen anything like this, and we may never see anything like this again. And there are so many people that are trying to tune it all out because I'm overwhelmed. But I can't imagine not bearing witness to this moment and being present for it and honoring the people suffering by being strong enough to get through this moment with them and not say, oh, I can't be inconvenienced, I can't handle it, my nervous system in my privileged, comfortable setting, right? We've got to bear witness to what is happening. We've got to let our heart and soul break open and hit that rock bottom that is the catalyst to get us to speak up and to take action and to say enough is enough, and to do what it takes and do what we have to. And so it's going to take a lot of strength to get through this. But this card, the strength card, in order to get through the exposure of this wicked, dark perversion and sickness, we have to have strength. And this strength card is not about force, and it's not about pushiness. There are several references between these cards, specifically talking about gentle persuasion rather than force. And I'm not sure where the Bible verse is, but it talks about wooing people in through smells and scents and beautiful aromas rather than banging and clanging of gongs and nails. So it's like, rather than the hammering of nails and the banging of gongs, like loud noise, bang, bang, force, in your face, alpha, I'm gonna use my big, strong, intimidating voice. Like getting up in your face, going full Karen, whatever. Think about these images. That's not effective, and it only causes a person to go deeper into their defensiveness and double down in their stance. So the strength card is about gentle influence and gentle persuasion. It's usually showing a young girl who has tamed a lion, who's tamed the beast through her gentleness, through her non-threateningness, right? Through her sweetness and through nurturing and through like caring for the lion. The lion has become more tame and quieted. Right? So we have to overcome our carnal instinct and our temper and our anger and our outrage. And we have to restrict that in order that we can use it in a way that makes us effective. We have to take all that energy and we have to use it usefully and not lash out. But it's like our effectiveness is at stake. And so our delivery, our presence with people, our demeanor, it matters. And we don't have to agree with someone or even plan on taking on their point of view in order for them to feel that we have an open heart and we're going to be patient while they express themselves to us. Like if somebody feels like you're not listening to them or you won't hear them out, they're not going to hear you out either. So I'm not saying that we become open-minded about their side, but I am saying we have to find a way to engage with people that we're disagreeing with on the most important issues on earth right now. We have to find a way to disagree without creating division. And that's possible. You can be in disagreement and still be united. You can say, I disagree with you, but I'm not going to just throw you away or cast you off or count you out as a goner or as, whatever. Like, I'm not just going to write my dad off. I love my dad, but at the same time, we have not always had the easiest relationship, and that's our tikkun, right? It's our assignment. Like, my dad is exactly the way that he is, and the way that it's difficult for me for a reason and a purpose. And his distance and his unavailability has created me into a person that doesn't need validation or permission. Like, I'm not afraid of rocking the boat. I'm an independent, fiery person. And so, like, understanding that part of Kabbalah teaches that, like, our parents we have the difficulties with them that we do because they are like triggers that can also activate our greatest powers. So that makes it a little bit easier to forgive and move forward. But you don't have to, even forgiveness, right? You don't have to agree with what happened. You don't have to condone what happened, right? But you can let go and move forward and not be stuck in the past. So overall, I know there was a lot of layers that we talked about, but I feel like what we're up against right now in the current state of things, we want to try to change this. We want to repair this. We want to correct this. We want to resist this. But we have to accept that this is the moment we're in, right? So we can't go against nature right now, but we can, and not that I think this is nature, but we can't go against the reality that we find ourselves in. So we're going to find our power by being present in the moment and accepting the present and what it presents to us now. Now we can start to work with that. Okay, how do I effectively take action that starts to transform this darkness, right? So we might have to go against our nature and our fear and our instinct to self-preservation, and we might have to put ourselves out there and feel a little bit scared, a little bit exposed, right? We're going to rock the boat. I'm going to be going up against the authority figures in my life. I'm going to have to disagree with my father. I'm going to have to speak out, and I'm going to have to, disagree with my uncle or, whatever it is for you. Those are not easy situations to be in, right? Unless you love to be that person who's always, giving somebody the business, and then you got to watch out how you're delivering that business because, we want to change hearts right now, not harden them. We've got to be strong while we get through the rest of this moment. I really think that we're coming to the culmination of seeing this for what it is. And now it's about dealing with it for the next 3.5 years, but handling it with more grit than we have been so far. Like, we've been getting our bearings. We've been feeling despair. We've been feeling sorrow, but and we've been, I don't want to accept this happening. But now it's like, okay, we're in it. We've acclimated, and now we are battling we're like firefighters. It's like, okay, we're in the scene. We've got our bearings, and now take action. Put the fire out. So this is the fruition, right? And I'm not saying that they can't pull out more tricks. I'm sure that they have plenty more horrible plans, right? But the initial shock of, oh my gosh, these are horrible, evil people with a dark plot and a dark plan and a dark conspiracy against humanity. It's like, okay, that's out in the open now. So it can only lose its power from here. right? We just have to be strong in our love, in loving our neighbor, in doing the right thing, in taking action that helps alleviate the suffering of others, whilst at the same time bearing witness to all that's happening as best we can, right? You can't take it all in all day, every day, but making an effort to not turn your face away, to not immediately turn the channel, to take in and be aware of what's happening so that you can be helping the light, right? Through this transformation. And so I do feel like this is on the positive end. It's this infection that's coming out like an abscess. It really is. And so when we hear people say things like God's power, God's light is going to be revealed in the situation, it is, but it's like we're going through the discomfort and the grotesqueness of that boil coming to a head. And it's going to pop and it's going to burst and it's going to ooze and it's going to stink and it's rotten and it's rancid. But it's got to come out so that the infection can be gotten rid of once and for all. And so we are going into a new era. We are in the age of Aquarius. And so we knew leading up to the shift when we were leaving the age of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius, that suddenly it was going to be radical revolutions around humanitarian causes. And here we are. Here we are. This year has been one ongoing battle for humanitarian causes. But this is really going to shift into a golden age, and not the way that they think that it's going to be a golden era. But this is going to, I don't know if obviously we're not going to obliterate darkness, but I feel like humanity is going in a positive direction, as hard as that is to believe right now, because I feel that the overwhelming population of the world is like over judgment. We're over prejudice. We are over warfare. We are over the oil companies and the corporations. It's like, bring on the plastoline gasoline. Bring on all of these algae that are supposed to eat the plastics. Like, there's so many genius inventions and solutions that are that brilliant people are coming up with all over the world. It's just the few dusty crusties that are holding their positions with white-knuckled grip. And they won't let the solutions come through. But that is not going to last for long, because the rest of the world is shifting into an age of love, of acceptance, of unity. And I just feel that the light is prevailing. It's just so uncomfortable right now, because we've never seen the darkness out in the middle of the broad daylight before. Like, it is being fully exposed right now, layer by layer by layer. And it's like, what other disgusting things are we going to find out about these people next? It's like, oh my gosh. So be strong, hold tight. We are going through a death and rebirth of humanity right now. And I think that we will come out on the other side, because light always prevails over darkness. Light always wins. God is in control of everything, including the opponent. The opponent does have a job here on earth, and it is to be that opponent that provokes us into breaking away from all that is dark and choosing with all of our might the light, and transcending that darkness so that it is forever corrected. All right, you guys, I think that is all for tonight. I will see you all tomorrow for our weekly romance oracle message. Ooh, I wonder what is in store this week. Hopefully I don't have any more awkward not meeting the guy stories to tell you guys. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I thought that I had met a cute guy and a potential possibility at the tomato festival. But as it turns out, he was just a douche. And it was just such an awkward situation and just a really funny, embarrassing story. But it was literally the reading from last Thursday playing out in real time, card by card, step by step. So hopefully we have some good news this week. All right, y'all. Well, I am going to try not to scratch my bumps. I put rubbing alcohol on them before I started the video. That really felt like it kind of stopped the itch. And I've got these turmeric sort of wipey pads that might help as well. So, y'all, I'm getting off here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.